Cinema, created by she, her. How we doing out there? Good, great, grand, and wonderful. Well, we're continuing with the weirdness on the Ellis Cinema Show. The worst podcast in the history of podcasts. As you see on your screen, your dial. However, you are joining us today. I don't know why you would be. Certainly there's something more entertaining you could be listening to. However, so the story goes. The Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch. Arrow Video presents The Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch. Yep. I mean, a lot of you probably haven't even heard of that one. I hadn't heard of that one. And it turns out, kind of J-horror before it was J-horror. It's a Japanese film. It's a Japanese film of 1968 Japanese horror film. Yep, that's what we're talking about today. A little bit because, spoiler free. And there's a lot that I'll try to set the tone for you a little bit. But outside that, this one is you have to see to believe. And, it's just a different, obviously with a different culture, you see, different things scare them or whatever is supposed to make it. And, just sits very awkwardly, sometimes cringeworthy, sometimes very horrifically, with me at least. And this one was no different, where there was certain sequences where I was like, what the fuck? Because even though this is J-horror, you could make, I shouldn't say J-horror exclusively, but even though this is a horror film from Japan, or it's labeled as a horror film from Japan, I could also make the argument, hardcore drama. Hardcore drama, one that stings a bit and is very, very dark. And so is the execution of it all, which is why I think it resonated differently with me. It hit a little different. So what is The Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch? Original story by Kazuo Umezu. Kazuyo Umezu. Screenplay by Kimiyuki Hasegawa. Remember, you got to take a drink for every time I fuck this up. Anyway, screenplay. Anytime I fuck up a name, you got to take a drink. Screenplay, Kimiyuki Hasegawa. Cinematography, which was, I thought, fucking goddamn off the charts, the cinematography, because it takes I don't want to say a special eye, not fucking reinventing the wheel. But, you have to do certain things with black and white that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do with color. And the way that some of these shots are very creepy. I mean, no surprise that I believe they would, I think it was a manga series. We'll get here in a second. But no surprise that it feels like it feels like a Japan creep show comic in some instance. Now, I don't know, because that sounds a little bit more low budget, and it's not. It's not. Well, there are some low budget dream sequences, but are still creepy as fuck nonetheless. Speaking of creepy as fuck dream sequences, special effects done by Kazufumi Fuji. Music was eerie as shit too. Shunsuke Kikuchi. Yep, take some drinks for that one. Shunsuke Kikuchi. And directed by Noriaki Yuasa. So eerie, and letting some of the shit ruminate too. Some long sequences, not to be confused with the long sequences in Bill Grafay's films. We just got off of that 7-film stint. It was fun, very time consuming though. Very time consuming. It was always I want to watch more of stuff, my liking, because it's not that The Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch isn't a good movie. It is, but there's a lot of other good stuff out there right now that I would preferably be watching. For me to, and this is just an example, for me to wait 10 days or however long it's been to watch Adam McKay's Don't Look Up with Leo and Jennifer Lawrence and so on and so forth, That's unheard of. Not that, whether you agree if it's a good movie or not. If you want my opinion, it was a fucking bummer. It was a fine movie. It was okay and everything. It was good, decent enough. Just very bleak. That's all I'll say. But point is, sometimes you get a little burnt out. I wouldn't have necessarily sought this one on my own. There's Letterkenny to watch and Curb Your Enthusiasm. Well, I finished that one, so that would be unfair. But nevertheless, The Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch. What do you get when Noriaki Yuasa, director of Daiei Studios, director of Daiei Studios' much beloved Gamera series, makes a monochrome film adaptation of the works of horror manga pioneer Kazuo Umezu? The answer is 1968's The Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch, a fantastically phantasmagorical slice of twisted tokusatsu terror, ostensibly made for children that will irreparably traumatize any child that sees it. Should we take it from the top? The answer is 1968's The Snake Girl and Silver-Haired Witch, a fantastically phantasmagorical slice of twisted tokusatsu terror, ostensibly made for children that will irreparably traumatize any child that sees it. Couldn't even do it a second time. So, here's what The Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch is about. A young girl named Sayuri is reunited with her estranged family after years in an orphanage. But trouble lurks within the walls of the large family home. Yes, there is, actually. The cast: Yuko Hamada, Sachiko Meguro, Yahtzee, oh my God, Yahtzee, you ought to be murdered. I can't believe you're going to let this air. I can't. Who's allowing this to happen? Oh, I am? Okay. Just pointing out faults. You're allowed to have faults. Yachi, not Yahtzee. Yachi Matsui, Mayumi Takahashi, Sei Hiraizumi, Yashiro Kitahara, Kuniko Miyaki, Asama Maruyama. People are already drunk. Saburo, you're drunk. No, I'm not drunk. This is how stupid I am. Saburo Ishiguro, Takashi Date, Miriko Fukuhara. Please stop, Sean. Michiko Fuji. There we go. Yuko Hamada, Sachiko Meguro, Yachi Matsui, Mayumi Takahashi. There we go. You get them, if you practice, but I don't practice. We're talking about practice. A young girl named Sayuri is reunited with her estranged family after years in an orphanage. In fact, some say all she's known is the orphanage. Terrible. But trouble lurks within the walls of her newfound large family home. Her mother is an amnesiac. Her mother is an amnesiac after a car accident 6 months earlier, which is funny. Not funny. It's not funny at all. I don't know why I said that. On the drive home from the orphanage, Dad and Sayuri are having Dad, who is a poisonous snake scientist. Anyway, they're driving home, and he's like, something about your mother. She got into a car accident, and her memory hasn't been the same since. She doesn't remember anything. Can't keep memories, doesn't remember anything. It's weird. Well, she can keep memories, but the memories that she does have they're disconnected and whatever. And she's just like, so Yuri's like, oh, okay, all right, already is starting out bad. And certainly it does when they do meet the mother and Sayuri. The mother, who is named Yuko and played by, wouldn't you know it? Or was her name Yukio? Yeah. But played by Yuko Hamada. When she first meets, it is uncomfortable, it is creepy, it is excellently executed, and she calls her by a different name and thinks that she's just a completely different daughter entirely. And, which turns out there's another daughter that looks, well, we'll get there. Hold on a second. Her mother is an amnesiac after a car accident 6 months earlier. Her sullen sister is confined to a hidden attic room. Her sullen sister. Which twist? Find out how the family tree goes if you stay tuned to it. You're going to have to buy this one. You're not going to be able to fucking cheap out and watch it on Tubi like the William Grafé ones or the Arrow player. You're going to have to fucking buy this one. Seeing is believing for Arrow videos. The Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch. Never would have came across this one if not for Arrow. And I just love watching everything. You know, love watching everything for the most part. Her sullen sister is confined to a hidden attic room, creepy as fuck, and a young housemaid dies inexplicably of a heart attack just before Sayuri arrives. In fact, as Sayuri and Dad are pulling up, they're taking away the body. They're taking away the body of the housemaid, and that's actually at the beginning of the film. I thought that I was going to be in for something kind of different. And now that I'm pondering it, unless I miss something, there's a disconnect between what I'm about to tell you and what ended up being. Of course, I don't spoil the ending, but the beginning when the housemaid dies, you want to know how she dies? A snake is thrown via a human hand. It's thrown, and a human arm is thrown around the housemaid's neck, and then she dies. And of course, this is the 60s, so it's just around the neck. Oh, dead, right? Real quick, nothing too long and drawn out. So that's not the part that, I was like, oh, here we go. It was a very scaly hand, a very scaly reptile-like, with a human hand quality to it, scaly and reptile, reaches into this snake tank and throws the snake onto the housemaid. Housemaid dies. And then you see, kind of out of focus, a checkered skirt is a part of the lizardy hand. And it just doesn't come out that way later, but that's okay. It's okay. I thought maybe I was in for a little of Creature from the Black Lagoon type stuff. But then, how silly of me. This is an Asian film. Give a fuck what you want, Sean. We're going to tell you how we feel about it. But turns out that this reptile lady is the sister. The sister who has reptile qualities. It's the sister, I tell you. Her sullen sister is confined to a hidden attic room, and a young housemaid dies inexplicably of a heart attack just before Sayuri arrives. What a welcome. Hey, this is your new home. That's a dead body, and your mom's fucked up. Just so you know. Never mind that dead body that just passed by. I don't even, if I'm speaking as the dad right now, I don't even know what just happened. I'm finding out right now, same as you. From the housemaid, what is her name? God damn it. Miss Shinga. Miss Shinga. I was kind of bummed about the ending, too. Now that I think of Miss Shinga. Is it all connected? Is this her mother's fucking trauma to the head and this dirt sister who lives in the attic and spies on people and this young housemaid? Does this have anything to do with her father's work studying venomous snakes? Sayuri's new father studying venomous snakes. And is the fanged, serpentine figure that haunts Sayuri's dreams the same one spying on her through the holes in the wall? Is it the very same? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But we're talking all these snake girls. We haven't even mentioned the silver-haired witch. A bitch. A bitch. A witch. Brand new commentary by historian David Collett. This charming woman, a newly filmed interview with manga and folklore scholar Zach Davison, which was a very interesting interview. I learned something. It was just, I don't know, it was rather strange. But, so what do we got here? We got a dad. We got a mom who's kind of strange. We got a sister who's just traveling the ducks of the fucking house. We got a housemaid by the name of Machine Gun. Housemaid by the name of Machine Gun. And a lady from an orphanage. I mean, right out the jump, it is bad for Sayuri. The dad, so get this. They're about to sit down and have their first dinner, right? This is the same evening. I'm glad that we're not on William Grafé timelines, because those I get a little fuzzy with. This one was pretty definitive. And funny in the uncomfortable way, and, seen a movie or two. But they're about to sit down and have their first dinner in the house, right? Sayuri's first dinner in the house. And the father gets a call, or a telegram, actually, that says they found his coveted snake that he has been searching for his whole life, and he has to go to Africa to check it out. This is the first thing. In Sayuri, the dumb, stupid idiot she is, she's just naive, and she just wants to be a part of the family. She doesn't want to be in the orphanage anymore, so, God bless her heart. But she's just like, oh, everything will be fine. Like, the mom, is still kind of like barely docile, just very strange. And Sayuri's just like, oh yeah, me and mom will be fine, because we don't know about the sister in the attic yet, because we haven't even had the first night where someone's peering through a hole. Anyway, I just found it rather amusing, and kind of chuckled to myself upon the first watch through, where the dad just unexpectedly has to go to fucking Africa. He can't say no. He's just like, oh hey Sayuri, I know mom's a little silly, but I gotta go. See ya. I gotta go. And of course, bogus ass shit starts happening to Sayuri. First plagued by dreams that are very strange, very Japanese too. I have seen enough I have seen enough Asian films to kind of like, I don't know. I could see it being jarring if you aren't familiar with such types of filmmaking, but for me, I've seen stuff like it before, and I thought this was just as creepily executed as you could possibly make it for some of the dream sequences and what may be going on within the walls of the house. The introduction to Tamami, which is the sister who lives in the attic, Tamami, she drops a snake onto Sayuri from the ceiling through the same eye hole onto Sayuri as she sleeps. My chick, she is a snake fan. She actually has 3 snakes, I believe. And I just happened to text her a couple of times during this, and her outrage at the always making the snakes out to be the villains. I get it. I mean, you don't want your animal that you happen to enjoy to be, it's kind of like sharks, and that the Mako, the Jaws of Death, William Grafé one, whereas the sharks are favored in the hero light and humans are the villains. And that's not the case in the Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch. It is definitely, snakes are bad in this instance. They're used negatively in this instance. But that is the introduction from Tamami to Sayuri. He's dropping a snake on her as she sleeps. And of course, because it's a 60s film, when protested, Sayuri protested to Miss Shinga and her own mother, hey, there's snakes in here. And then, of course, they investigate and there's no fucking snakes anymore. They just deem her a lunatic. Oh, you're just an orphan girl and you're having bad dreams. Get over it. Get over yourself. Grow up. And even starts, gaslighting her. She's like, oh, motherfucker, did I... Sayuri's like, oh, did I imagine all this shit? All this shit? So, right out the jump, too, Tamami and Sayuri, they're off to a bad note. Since Dad is gone, apparently Dad didn't know about Tamami. I should have not spoiled that, but anyway, there it is. Now it's out in the open. Anyway, apparently Dad didn't know about Tamami, so now that Dad's like gone for a little while, Mom doesn't care if Tamami just, runs the house, which ultimately, and why I said heavy drama earlier, which ultimately the room that Sayuri was in, where she had everything a girl could dreamed of, Sayuri had in her room. Well, fucking bully-ass Tamami bullies her out, and now she has the things, but, she's a reptile girl, and she has hate in her heart. Doesn't matter all these nice things to Tamami. Sayuri has suffered, but so has Tamami, in a different way. But the way that she bullies Sayuri out of the room, and how selfless Sayuri is and graceful in taking this bullying from Tamami. It was hard to watch. It reminded me, like I said, of a hard drama, some, I don't know, Dallas Buyers Club type, ouch, in the heart type. I don't know why I said Dallas Buyers Club, but along the lines of like, it hurt, movies like that. It hurt to watch how she was being bullied, and then you have this weird juxtaposition, like how to feel. Juxtaposition's not right, but the conflicted feeling on on Tamami and why she's bullying Sayuri. She's been kept up in an attic, for crying out loud, and from the sounds of it, Dad doesn't even know that she existed, or did know, but we have assumed that Dad thinks that she's out of the picture or dead or whatever, right? I shall not tell you. You'll have to watch on yourself, Arrow player, or get the physical copy. Can't tube yourself out of this one. But very uncomfortable to watch, as are the case in most Asian horror or drama films. Very, very hard to watch. I don't know why the first Japanese drama that's popping into my head is Shoplifters. If you haven't seen that one, see it. Pull on your heartstrings, it will. Punch you right in the mouth. Think twice about your problems and how awful you have it. Get out of my face. You don't know how hard it is, at least the people that I know that complain via the internet or in text or in person about how awful life is. You do not know. You do not know. There's people out there like Sayuri getting bullied by Tamami, the reptile girl. And I haven't even mentioned how the silver-haired witch comes into all this. Does Sayuri turn into a silver-haired witch? I don't know. You have to figure it out. Or is it something that you weren't necessarily looking for and kind of bummed that was what it was because it was too easy? Could it be something like that? Maybe it's something like that. I really enjoyed the whole movie until the end, and maybe this is something to be said about the He Came from the Swamp, the William Grafé collection that Arrow Video released. Something to be said about Bill Grafé's films. At the end of Bill Grafé's films, most of them, the ending you were like, oh fuck, every time. Not every time, almost every time. But at the end of this one, you went, oh, what? At least for me, just because I was like, oh, well, that's too easy, isn't it? It's too easy. Is that the only reason why you kept her around? I believe it is. But other than that, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I don't even know what that fucking means anymore, because I'm going to have my cake, and in the process of having, I'll be eating my cake. Anyway. Bill Grafé collection, a little bit lower budget regional films, whereas this one, bit higher budget, more technical craft for sure, especially with the cinematography by Akira Uehara. So goddamn good. I can't have my cake and eat it too. You know, this one may not deliver on the ending from the story standpoint, but as far as like how you make a film, I mean, ain't nothing to turn your nose up at this one in terms of a horror film. And, you know, you think of things like The Ring and The Grudge and shit like that. Very similar. Just, you know, we all take from the greats. We all take from the greats. Do we not? Do we not? 1968 Japanese horror film directed by Noriaki Yuasa. The film is about a young girl named Sayuri who is reunited with her estranged family after years in an orphanage, but discovers that her home life involves an amnesiac mother, her sister confined to the attic, and father's experiments with poisonous snakes. It was loosely adapted from 3 manga series by Kazuo Umezu, Reptilia, Benigumo, and Akambo Shoujo. But yeah, it's very manga-esque. And I know there's a lot of my audience that loves the manga stuff. Loves the anime manga. Is that 2 different things? I don't know. I'm garbage. Worst podcast on the internet. I should know the difference. I don't. Is a manga just to mean that it's in print form and anime can be either or? Or are they 2 completely different things and I need to shut my mouth and just end the show? I'm thinking it's that one. I'm thinking that you need to stop reinforcing the idea of how bad this show is. Why nobody should listen to it. Not one goddamn person. Anyway. The Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch, available through Arrow Video now. It's got all the good stuff on it. All the good stuff. Feels nice for me to be doing a singular film, but we got a long road ahead of us. I was very grateful to be able to get a few of these watched this weekend because I have been dragging ass due to my day job, and usually my day job in the months of November, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. Go on now. Ellis Cinema. The Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch. Arrow Video. Horror, sure. Drama, of course. 2 are the same. Are they not? More and more shows coming. Oofed. We go.